ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another video. My name is Cody, and today, or tonight, depending on when you watch this video, I will be giving you my week 2 of the 2024 NRL preseason challenge tips. Now, last week we had week 1. I think overall week 1 was amazing to watch. I was also at the Charity Shield watching the Rabbitohs beat the Dragons 28 points to 6 to win our 19th Charity Shield. Also along with the Eagles-Raiders game, which the Raiders destroyed them. That was not what I was expecting, but there you go. But overall last week, I believe I got either 5 or 6 correct. I'm not sure how much I got correct, but it's 5 or 6, but I'll double check to be sure. But anyway, we are here for week 2 of the preseason challenge, and then next week we are off to Vegas. No, I'm not going to Vegas, obviously, but the Vegas games, the Rabbitohs mainly, Roosters, Broncos, they kick off next Sunday. 1:30 in the afternoon, the 2024 season will be underway. But without further ado, let's get into week 2 of the tips. But before we get into that, if you're new around here, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel if you're new around here. My goal is to get to 1,400 subscribers by the end of February and start of March. So I'm hoping we can get there. And my goal for this year is to reach 2,000 subscribers before Magic Round, which is round 11. So if you guys can do that, that will be really appreciated. I appreciate any support I can get for this channel. But anyways, enough me talking. Let's get into the video. And the first game we kick off, it's part of a double header at Belmore Sports Ground. Excuse me. We have the rivalry game between the Rabbitohs and the Roosters kicking off at 6 p.m. Now, both sides are, well, at least I know my team's already landed in Vegas. I don't know about the Roosters yet, so there's going to be no top 30 players playing in this one. Still going to be young players, reserve grade, and New South Wales Cup players. So this will be a nothing-all game, but interesting to see that we have a Rabbitohs-Roosters game at Belmore. Who would have thought? Even for a trial game, I would have expected to be at Allianz or a Core or something like, or even on the Central Coast. I would take that, but it is what it is. But we'll go through the team list for both teams as well. Excuse me. So we'll start with my boys first. So at fullback, with the person who scored 2 tries last week, Braden Burns, played an amazing game. The wingers for the Rabbitohs, we have Lee T. Howell, and sorry if I butcher any of these names wrong as well. I do apologise for that. And the other winger is June Soda Lanhar. Centers are Adam Christon and Leonard Skelton. Skeleton Man. Skeleton. Anyway, halves, 5'8" is Bailey Bentley Hape. Yep. And the halfback is Jared Sablu. The props are Brock Gray and Yeedy Gordon. Gordon, around 40 years old, still going at it. Last time he played a match was 2011 in the NRL. And he's been playing New South Wales Cup for many years now. The hooker is Ryan, and the other prop is Brock Gray. The hooker is Ryan Gray. Back row, we have Malin Alun Chunfoot and Nicholas Hololiflo, and the lock is Matt French. On the interchange, we have CJ Mundine, Cade Maloney, Chase Chapman, and Tyson Hodge. And on the reserves, we only have up to 21 at the moment. We have Kalen Miller, Noah Ree, Lewis Grossman, and Aidan Doolan. Now we look at the Roosters. Fullback for Roosters, we have Callum Golmick. Wingers are Alexandria Young, which I believe is the younger brother of Dominic Young, and Tula Williams as wingers. Centers are Kyron Fikitoa and Ethan Clark-Wood. Halves, 5'8" is Kobe Thompson, and the halfback is Joseph Wiki Kamar Tamara Tapipari. That's a long name to pronounce. Xavier Var and Dylan Napier are the props. So we do have a first grader or former first grader. So Little boost for the Roosters, but I don't think it'll do much. The hooker is Tyler Moriarty. The back row is Corey Ross and Mel Nussel. The lock is Sassy Falky. On the interchange, we have Bella Lulu, Tyson Fakasaki, Zach Sada, and Taylor Losalu. And the reserves, we have Harrison McKinnon, Silent Bunny Aki, Alan Holton, Emery Jolev, and Michael Coleman. So that's the team list for both the Rabbitohs and the Roosters. So both mainly young players. This game can go either way, but obviously I will back my boys to win this one. I'll 1-12. I'll go to Rabbits to win. Let's go by 8 score. I reckon it'll be a mid to high scoring game. I reckon 26-18. And for the other game that is emanating from Belmore Sports Ground on Friday, kicking off at 8 p.m. right after the Roosters and Rabbitohs game, we have the Cronulla Sharks taking on the Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs, but with Sharks as the home team. Interesting to see that. Now, last week, the Sharks got belted by the Knights. The score was 44-18. They lead 10 or 12-0 at one point. The Knights crushed them to win 44-18. As for the Dogs, they surprisingly won 24-12 against Melbourne. I mean, yeah, Melbourne didn't have that many players from first grade playing, but still, good on the Dogs for winning and not. That was one of the games I lost as well. But anyways, let's go through the team list. So for the Sharks first, fullback is William Kennedy. The wingers are Simon Contola and Ronaldo Molitolo. Centers are Jesse Raymond and Savita Talakai. The halves are Braden Trundle and Nicholas Hines. Props are Organ Confusi and Royce Hunt. Braden Brayley is the hooker. The back row is Britton Nakora and Tay Wilton. Cameron McInnes is the lock. On the bench, we have Jack Williams, Jesse Cullenhorn, Toby Rudolph, and Thomas Hazelton. And on the reserves, we have Tulu Haku Topoloa, Maki Horty, Cairo Ayol, Billy Burns, Daniel Atkinson, Jaden Billell, Niwali Peru, Kate Dykes, and Chris Bailey. Not a bad side for the Sharks. And as for the Bulldogs, fullback is Blake Taff. Wingers are Blake Wilson, Josh Adokar. So Josh Adokar comes in after playing the All-Stars game last week. Bronson Sherry and Stephen Crichton are the centers. Matt Burton and Drew Hutchinson are your halves. The props are Max King and Pola Fasasum Malawi. Reed Marnie is your hooker. Your back row is Viliami Kickout and Jacob Preston. Jane Salmon is lock. And on the bench, we have Kurt Mann, Samuel Hughes, Josh Curran, and Curtis Morin. And on the reserves, we have Keaton Katuga, Eli Clark, Toby Sexton, Gerald Skelton, Josiah Papali, Bailey Hayward, and Bailey Bonnie Odie. So good sides from this one. For this one, surprisingly, I will go for the I'll go for the Bulldogs to win this one, 1-12. I reckon Dogs will win this one by 4. Scoreline, let's go 16-12. I could be wrong about this result, but it's the trials. You don't know what to expect. Now we move on to first of our few Saturday games. Now we have the Storm taking on the Knights at Churchill Park, Laktukar in Fiji. So this will be the first time a trial game's been taken to Fiji, at least I believe. With Storm as the home side and Knights as the away side. I believe Melbourne has one of the sponsors from Fiji. I'm not sure, but I think that's why there's a game happening in Fiji. But let's go through the teams, shall we? Now for the Storm, Your fullback is Ryan Paffenhauser. Wingers are Will Warbrick and Xavier Cokes. Remney Smith and Nick Meany centers. Jonat Pezzett and Jerome Hughes are your halves. Chuki Kaminfin and Josh King are the props. Harry Grant is the hooker. Kane Brayley and Elise Katoa are the back row. Trent Liero is the lock. On the bench, we have Christian Walsh, Joe Chang, Tristan Powell, and Tyram Wishard. And on the reserves, we have Keegan Russell Smith, Dean Meter, Sean Blore, Bronson Gullick, Young Tokumapia, Lazarus Balapapi, sorry for that name, Jack Howard, Craig Stewart, Chris Lewis, Marvian Save, and Colby Williamson. And as for the And as for the Knights, fullback is Captain Kalen Ponga. Wingers are Aaron Tula and Greg Marzul. Centers are Dane Gagai and Bradman Best. Tyson Frisell and Jackson Hastings are your halves. Jacob Saifidi and Leo Thompson are your props. Phoenix Crossland is the hooker. Tyson Frisell and Dylan Lucas are the back row. Adam Elliott is the lock. On the bench, we have Jack Cogger, who came from Penrith. Daniel Saifidi, so Yada Brother at number 15. Jack Hetherington and Kai Pearce-Paul as number 17. And on the reserves, we have Thomas Cant, Riley Jones, David Armstrong, William Price, Jed Cartwright, former Rabbitohs player, Brody Jones, Thomas Jenkins, Fletcher Sharp, Latia Mosian Dyke, I think that's how you pronounce it, and Fletcher Myers. So both good sides for this one. Now, last week, Melbourne did lose 24-12, and the Knights destroyed the Sharks 44-18. For this one, I will go for the Knights to go for this one. I know this one will be a shock, but I think the Knights can pull it off this time. I'm going to go Knights to win by 10. Scoreline of 28 points to 18. Now, on to our second Saturday game, emanating from Go Media's Day or Mount Smart Stadium. I'm just going to call it Mount Smart Stadium. Kicking off at 3:45 p.m. our time, 5:45 over there in New Zealand. It is the Warriors taking on the Dolphins. The Warriors last week only just lost the game by 2 points against the West Tigers over there in Christchurch last week. And as for the Dolphins, they beat the Titans at the Sunshine Coast Stadium 26-14 last Sunday. Now we'll go through a team list for both of them. We'll go through the Warriors first. So for fullback for the Warriors, we have Tane Tupapiki. Wingers are DWZ or Daniel Sendlisiak and Malasi Montoya as the other winger. Roko Berry and Roger Chuavasa-Shek are the centers. The halves are Luke Metcalf and Sean Johnson. Afa Fanua Blake and Mitchell Barnett are the props. Wade Egan is the hooker. Jackson Ford and Kurt Capewell as the back row. Tohu Harris at lock. Interchange, we have Freddie Lussick, Morata Nikora, Jazz Tavita and Bunny Afua as the interchange. And as for the reserves, we have Dylan Walker, Tom Ali Liti Atua, Adam Pompley, Dare Martin, Channel Harris Tavita, Jacob Laban, Mola Graham Tafua, Leiki Hasasima, and Teku 2. Sorry for that last one. And as for the Dolphins, Hammervice Tabarai Fado, the Hammer is fullback, Jermaine Azarko and Jack Boxtel is the wingers. Centers are Tessie Newey and Herbie Farmworth. Halves combinations are Isaiah Katoa and Sean O'Sullivan. Props are Jesse Bromwich and Thomas Flager. Jeremy Marshall King as the hooker. Felice Kafusi and Ewan Aiken as the back row. Tom Gilbert as lock. On the bench, we have Mark Nichols, Valas Tiwar, Jack Averillo, and Kirk Donoghue as the interchange. On the reserves, we have Josh Kerr, Raid Stone, Kenny Bromwich, Konya Limu, Cody Nikarima, Olin Khaleesi, Jared Wallace, and Ty Fuller. So good sides for this one as well. For this one, it is tough, but I'm going to stick it with New Zealand here. It's in New Zealand. I'm going to go the Warriors to win 1-12. We'll go Warriors with the win by 8. Scoreline, let's go 32-24. The next game it will be happening at 4 Points Park at 5:55 p.m. It is the Manly Sea Eagles taking on the Broncos. Now, just like the Rabbitohs in the Roosters, majority of these players will be the young ones across Manly and Broncos. I think Manly's already made it to Vegas, or Broncos, I think they're on their way either today or tomorrow, or they're already there, I'm not sure. But it's going to be mainly filled with the younger players, so let's go through the side, shall we? So for Manly first, and this is also the first time any team of Broncos are playing at 4 Points Park in I think almost a decade, because of the Magic Round bullshit. Manly Broncos play each other there. Hopefully this is the last one that's ending this year. Regardless, let's go through the sides. So Bailey Hodgson as the fullback for Manly, Max Leanman and Watson Halita as the wingers, Cameron Brown and Clayton Falola as the centers. Halves are Jermaine Humphreys and Brendan Wakeham. Your forwards are Tupa Sapili and Atasi James. So Sipley got suspended for 3 games for the dangerous crusher tackle on Dominic Young, which he is okay, but he will miss round 1. And as for Sipley, he will miss 3 games now, so I think he will be back for round 4, which that's going to be, so means he will miss Vegas in the other 2 games for round 2 and 3, I believe. Anyway, the hooker is Gordon Chen Kum Tong. Brad Parker in the back row. Wow, that's interesting. Ben Condon are your back rowers. Dean Madison as lock. Cobe, interchange is Cobe Rulers, Austin Dallas, Jacob Skies, and James Uselli. And the 2 reserves only are Caleb Navale and Tyler Bunting. Okay, only a small side. And it's the same for the Broncos too. Okay, so the Broncos side. We have at fullback, we have Credence Toll, Simon Hopperwade, and Jordan Pereira as the fullback and wingers respectively. Your centers are Delise Heaton and Ethan Corward as centers. Josh Rogers and Kurt Falls are your halves. Bailey Butler and Benjamin T. Coolra as the props. Blake Moser as the hooker. Jaden Hunt and Ethan O'Neill as your back row. Rory Ferguson as your lock. On the interchange, we have Joseph Tamine, Joshua Starkey, Cooper Page Wilson, and Joshua Patson. And the 2 reserves, just like Manly, have Kay Lolo, Sati Tatua, and Corey Prax. So small size fullback, so not much experience from across both sides. Yeah, this one is quite tricky, but I reckon Manly can get this one. I reckon Manly will win this one. I know Broncos won last week and they thrashed the Cowboys, but I think Manly will be too strong for this one. I'll go Manly to win by 4. I'm expecting a small score. I'm going to go 16-12 for this one. I mean, it could be high scoring. Who knows? 16-12, Manly wins this one. And the final game to happen on the Saturday, kicking off at 8:05 p.m. up there at Glen Willow Oval and Mudgee, we have the St George Illawarra Dragons taking on the West Tigers. West Tigers are coming off a good win over the Warriors, 26-24. And as for the Dragons, they lost once again for the 2nd year in a row, the annual Charity Shield. 28 points to 6 against us. I mean, it was a dead first half, and then all the players went off in the second half, and it seemed like they didn't catch up. Anyway, usually Dragons play against us, the Rabbits, at Mudgee, but I think that contract has ended now, so I don't know if the Charity Shield will be up there next year. Hopefully not. I hope it stays in Sydney. I mean, I don't mind if it goes to Mudgee, but I would love to go to the Charity Shield once again. But anyway, topic for another day. Straight into the team list. So for fullback, we have Tyrell Sloan. Your wingers are Zach Lomax and Michaela Ravalara. Your centers are Moses Sully and Jack Bird. Your halves are Kyle Flanagan and Ben Hunt. The props are Francis Molo and Blake Laurie. Jacob Little as the hooker. Thomas Heisenuth and Jane Sewer as your back row. Jack DeBellin as lock. On the bench, we have Jesse Mark Key, Fiami Fafita, Ben Murdoch Melasua, and Raymond Fatala Mariner, which he'll make his first step into the Dragons jersey. And on the reserves, we have Michael Molo, Connor Maholly Hellenson, Christian Tupaluu, who just came from Manly, Matthew Feaguy, Max Feaguy, Sine Fanu, Toby and Ryan Couchman, and Dan Russell. And as for the West Tigers, fullback is Jerome Luai. Your wingers are Charlie Staines and Junior Tupou. Justin Olin and Stafford Totoa are your centers. Jaden Sullivan and Aiden Caesar as your halves. Stefano Yukamanu and David Clemmer as your props. Aparai Coruscant as your hooker. Isaiah Papali'i and Azua Kapoa as your back row. Alex Seyfried as lock. And on the bench, we have Lachlan Gavlin, Alex Twoll, Fanua Pole, and Samelia Fanu. And on the reserves, we have the other Fanu, Silent Fanu brother, Jake Simkin, Heath Mason, Alex Lube, Narvin Willett, Sina Latoa Vahu, Solomon Akamu Alua, Tony Scott, and Justin Mata Mooney. And also, I just want to correct, the brother of Dominic Young is actually older, not younger. My apologies for that. I just realised now. But yeah, both good sides, pretty much the same sides as last week for both teams. West Tigers, I reckon they'll get up this one, win by 12, 24-12 as the score. Alright, now we move on to the Sunday games. The first one kicking off at 3 p.m. at Seifeld Oval in Queanbeyan, the former home ground of the Raiders, taking once in a few years trip or something like that to the former stomping ground of Queanbeyan, playing against the Cowboys. Raiders pretty much destroyed the Eagles, especially in that second half last week. They won 38-16, and as for the Cowboys, they didn't have many players. They were destroyed by the Broncos, 46-20, up there at BB Prince Stadium last week. Anyway, we'll go through both sides. So for Raiders first, Albert Hopewade is the fullback, Utaloa Asuma and Xavier Savage are your wingers, Matthew Tomoka and James Schuler are your centers, K.O. Weeks and Ethan Strange as your halves, Josh Papali'i and Emra Gula as your props, Daniel Levi as the hooker, Hudson Young and Elliot Whitehead as the back row, Morgan Smites as your lock, Tom Starling, Nick Kotrich, Trey Mooney and Jet Stewart as your interchange reserves. We have Chevy Stewart, Adam Cook, Peter Holler, Mitch Henderson, Zach Hosking, Simpi Saksagari, Pasasima Solo, Ata Moria, Hopaparu, and Zach Wolford. And as for the Cowboys side, fullback Scott Drinkwater, wingers are Kyle Feld and Murray Talungi, fellow Tom Holmes and Zach Laybud as your centers, Tom Dearden and Chad Townsend in the halves, Jordan McLean and Jason Talmalolo as your props, Reece Robson as your hooker, Helium Lukey and Gemrai Nanai as your back row. Ruben Cotter as lock. Interchange, we have Jake Granville, Griffin Neem, Cohen Hess, and Sam McIntyre. And as for the reserves, we've got Thomas McKeely, Thomas Chester, Semi Valami, Cooley for Fuse, Aki, Jake Growski, and Jake Clifford. Ooh, this one's a really tough one to pick. Although the Raiders did put off a strong performance last week, fortunately, I'll have to go with the Cowboys this one. They've got a stronger side this week. I reckon the Cowboys will bounce back. Sorry for Raiders fans out there. I've got the Cowboys win by 2 points, 18-16. Let's see if I'm correct. Alright, and for the final game of the week 2 of the preseason challenge, we have the Gold Coast Titans and the Parramatta Eels kicking off at 5 p.m. I believe that is 4 p.m. Queensland time, and it's emanating from North Ipswich Reserve with Titans as the home team. So last week, Titans lost 26-14, and the Eels lost last week 38-16 to the Raiders. So let's go through the team list for both teams. So for fullback, we have Keeney. Your halves are Khan Pereira and Philip Sami. Centers are Brian Kelly and AJ Brimson. Your halves are Kieran Foran and Tannen Boy. Props are Milwaukee followed. Milwaukee followed Taki. Sorry for that butcher name. Ken Pasilla and Sam Verrills as your hooker and props respectively. Jacob Alec and both Furmore as your props. Tino Farmer Sumalawi as your lock. Chris Randall, Jalman Jolliffe, Aaron Clark, and Khalees Haas as your interchange. And for the reserves, we have Joe Simpsons, Harley Smith Shields, Jojo Fafita, Tom Weaver, Jalen DeGroot, Josiah Paluwu, and Isaac Falasa Malawi. And as for the Eels, we have Clint Gufferson, Marcus Evo, and Sean Russell as your fullback and wingers respectively. Will Penasini and Bailey Simonson as your centers. Dylan Brown and Mitchell Moses as your halves. Regan Campbell Gillard and Junior Paulo as your props. Joey Lussick as the hooker. Sean Bryce Cartwright as your back row. Jermaine Hopgood for your lock. Brandon Haynes, Wasmill Greg, Joe Offengow and Kamal Talangi as your interchange. And on the reserves, we have Ryan Madison, Morgan Harper, Hayes Dunster, Dejan Arce, and Blaze Talagi. So for the final game, this one is quite tough. Although they were heavily defeated last week, I will go to Para once again. This time, I'll go Eels by 6. Scoreline, I think it's going to be high scoring, 30-24. Bring on week 2 of the preseason challenge. But ladies and gentlemen, that concludes week 2 of the preseason challenge tips. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm sorry if I butchered a lot of names. Obviously, I'm not really that good of a word reader or whatever they call it. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel if you're new around here, turn on bell notifications so you don't miss out whenever I post a new video. And yes, if you are wondering as well, yes, I've dyed my hair blonde because it was my birthday last Thursday. I turned 22 on the 15th of February, so I had a great day on my birthday and I decided to why not dye my hair. So I am blonde for a while. I don't know how long this will last, but this is what I'll look like for the foreseeable future. Anyways, I'm getting out of here, guys. I'll see you all in the next video. Take care.